Hello, my name's Denny. This is my plant-based journey, and today we're going to start a book review. I hope you'll join with me. I don't know if you have purchased the book yet. If not, that's fine. We're going to talk about it, and if you would like to purchase the book, it's available on Amazon, and I'm sure that Chef AJ would appreciate your being a customer of hers. I don't know if you ever watch Chef AJ. She has Weight Loss Wednesdays on YouTube. She has a previous book which I have on my tablet, and she came out with her new book, which is called The Secret to Ultimate Weight Loss. And we're going to start talking about this book. I hope that you will buy the book and read it. I don't know, you might call this a book study more than a book review, but I wanted to talk about some of the things. I love the subtitle that she has for the book. It says, "A revolutionary approach to conquer cravings, number 1, overcome food addiction, number 2, and lose weight, number 3, and then here's what's key, without going hungry." Boy, isn't that the truth? You know, so many of the diets in the world are about starvation. And they may say that they're not, but when you're eating very, very small portions and starving and hungry, that's not a good, healthy way to lose weight. It's just not. And I've done that so many times. In fact, I've been through all that yo-yoing so many times. You know, if you look at some of the things that we'll study through this book, you're going to see that if you're eating the right kinds of foods, it has the right caloric density, it has the right nutritional density, and it allows you to eat until you're satisfied and you're able to continue to move forward. You know, you could probably eat a huge microwave full of salad and it wouldn't hurt you, but if you're going to eat a large portion of steak, it's going to have a different effect on your body. The cholesterol, the fat, the way things work in your system. We're going to see things like the idea that you need a ton of protein, which you just don't. These are myths. It's not based on science, and it's usually because somebody has an opinion, and it oftentimes is subsidized by some organization or group. And listen, we're just going to look and see what she has to say and see if her plan makes any difference. I think that it will, and in fact that's what we want. We want to conquer the cravings. I don't know about you, but I have cravings, and sometimes they're pretty strong, and we'll talk about that as we go along. Overcoming food addiction. Several years ago I was involved in a program, and there was a community that was involved in it, and that's one of the things that I said, and at first people thought it was kind of crazy, and then people started jumping on the bandwagon. I told them that I know that I'm suffering from food addiction, and there are several ways in which I know that that's the case, and it involves the cravings, it involves the unhealthy relationship with food, you know, the running by a restaurant and grabbing something to eat before you come home to eat, the getting up in the middle of the night to eat. You know, there's a TV show that was on the air for a few years that I'm sure most of you are familiar with, called The Office, and there's a time where Kevin, one of the characters, and also one of the other characters is pregnant, and she's going to have a baby, and so she's having constant cravings, and so together they would have first breakfast, second breakfast, first lunch, second lunch, and so on. And you know, we joke around about those kinds of things, but the fact is, for somebody who's struggling with food, that's a very real problem. You're wanting to eat, and you want to eat all the time, and you even start hiding these things from people around you, and that's not healthy. And so the cravings, the food addiction, and weight loss, that's what a lot of us want. That's what we're trying to do. We're not eating these ways in particular because of some ethical belief. By the way, we can argue ethics to insinuate that someone is ethical over someone else who chooses a different pattern is not the right way to go, because there are arguments that will deflate that kind of thinking. But the truth is, there's a reason why these types of foods that we're going to be talking about are good for your body. And it doesn't have anything to do with right or wrong. It has to do with how the science works. Right and wrong in what you eat, that's an opinion. we want to look at what the science says. You know, there is a right and wrong from a spiritual basis, and of course we can talk about that. But when it comes to food, there are a million different opinions out there, millions of them. And what we want to do is find out, what does the science say? How will it help us to be healthy? And how can we overcome the sickness and disease and the hardships that we faced in the past in our life? So let's get into the introduction. I'm not planning on covering very far in each one of these sessions because there's a lot of material here, and she's done a marvelous job, really. Everything I've read so far, I've been impressed with. And so let's start with the disclaimer. I want you to understand from the very start, she makes it very clear that if you need medical attention, she's not a doctor. She wants you to seek a medical professional before you start trying to do some of these things. And so that's a good thing, and we appreciate that. But let's start with the foreword, and I want to show you a couple things that are in the foreword. Let's start with this. One of the discussions here is about the escalating high cost of healthcare, which it is stated here that it consumes about 18% of our gross national product. That is massive. That's a massive amount of money being spent on healthcare. That's what actually led me to this journey to find out more about this program. 5 years ago, in fact, I just celebrated my 5th year, if you want to call it celebrating. 5 years ago, I had a heart attack. And it's not something I can blame on anyone else. Now, the doctors will tell you that genetics does play into it. But you know what plays into it? The spoon. The spoon plays into it. You know what else? Exercise. Exercise plays into it. You see, those kinds of things cost a lot of money. Not the eating and exercise, but the results of not eating properly and exercise. An amazing thing happened too, and that is, when I had this, I did not have insurance. I was between insurance, and in fact, my new insurance plan was supposed to start on August 1st. So the 28th to the 1st is 3 days. You know, we're not talking about much time. But in that time, I had a heart attack. And that is extremely expensive. And I owe a lot of money. And I still owe money after 5 years. There was a helicopter ride that was worth about $35,000. And then the medical care for a week in the hospital and 6 weeks of rehab. Just astronomical, these bills, without insurance. So I made a career change, and one of the reasons why I did was for the opportunity to have some benefits. So I left full-time preaching to be a preacher on the side and work in the world full-time. So that I could be provided with those benefits. That's a decision I made for me and my family. And so I understand the cost. I'm not saying that cost should be passed on to the world. I think we own that. I think each of us own that. And that's why we need to make sure that we eat healthy and exercise, because it's our responsibility. We need to take ownership in that. But the statement is made, the revolution will come when health and nutritional organizations show the public the food literacy that can empower them to eliminate chronic disease. And so, as I've studied, I've been impressed by what I've been reading from all the doctors. And I think the first doctor I found was McDougall. And then from that, I've been able to find Furman and Scott and, of course, Esselstyn and Greger. And I've learned so much. And what amazes me is the information is available there. It's available for people to learn how to keep your cholesterol low and your blood pressure low and how to lose weight. Those things are available. And it's not easy. It's not easy for me. This journey's been difficult. It continues to be difficult. That's why I started this channel. I need support and I want to help others. But we have to get this information out there that if you eat the right kind of foods, you don't have a heart attack. You don't have the chances of getting cancer. In fact, study all the diseases. Does it mean we're going to eliminate cancer? No, it does not. There are other factors. But if you look at the world and the history and the documents and the foods and the way people eat, the vegetables that you eat, the fruits that you eat, have a dramatic effect on your health and getting those types of diseases that will take your life prematurely and will cost outrageous amounts of money. You know, one of the stats that's laid out here is talking about cardiac disease, cardiovascular disease. Basically, the cost savings would be about $40 trillion in their estimate if we would make some of these changes. So there's a lot of other things that are here, and I encourage you to read this book. So in some of the arguments that are made, there's a man by the name of Dr. William Connors who studied some of the Indian groups in northern Mexico, and they talked about hypertension and obesity, and they found that there's none amongst those who are eating a plant-based diet. And other diseases appear to be easily eliminated if we would eat this way, a whole food plant-based diet. And some of the things they talk about is type 2 diabetes, stroke, vascular dementia, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, multiple sclerosis, allergies, asthma, and on. There's a lot of things that are positively improved by eating this way. And so the point is they want to educate us as citizens, but also the medical community. We're very thankful here in this part of the world. In Midland, Texas, there's a group of doctors that work together to help us have this type of education and training. There's a large group actually that they meet together and are able to have meals together. I haven't been able to go to those in the last few months because of my workload, but the fact of the matter is there's a group that meets, there's programs on a regular basis, there's opportunities for study and development, just wonderful things, and the medical community is getting involved, and so I'm thankful for that. But the fact is, there's a lot of opportunity for improvement if we will study and learn. And those comments came not from Chef AJ, but from Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, who wrote the foreword to the book. And so there's some opportunity there. In the introduction itself, it talks about the mindset, and she talks about her struggles. And I thought we might go over this a little bit on this video before we end here today. She says, "My struggles with food were always lonely and fraught with guilt and anxiety. Growing up, I felt that there was not a single person to whom I could talk who could truly understand what I was going through." She went on to say that she was suffering from dysfunctional and discordant relationship with food, how it was impacting her life. It was affecting her not only physically in her health, but her ability to hold a job, her healthy personal relationships, and even nurturing her spiritual and emotional well-being. And so she talks about having this addictive personality, especially when it comes to these foods. And what she found is that it thrives in isolation. And she certainly felt completely alone and completely beside herself with no help. And so I'm going to leave you with that today, but I want to know your thoughts. When you think about food addiction, when you think about struggling, is this something that you felt? Have you ever felt like you're alone? Felt guilty? Felt anxious over the food that you're eating? Boy, I know I have. Listen, I've gone places sometimes when I've been having emotional stress within me and thoughts, and I want to order something, and I will eat it as fast as it comes and just sit there like you're just shoveling it in because you just can't get it fast enough. Or you feel like you're in a group, and so you eat something in that group, and then you want to grab something else on the way home because it didn't satisfy you, but you certainly weren't going to order it there in front of others. And so you feel this aloneness, that nobody understands, that they don't get it. You know, it's a tough thing, and it certainly is a good word to use that she used here, dysfunctional. It's not a good way to have health. And for her and for others like her who have struggled with the weight going up and down, even to the point of creating some disorders within the way she dealt with that health, are very difficult. And I think more people are dealing with this than they want to let on. I know I've struggled with it. I know that these things have been real to me, and they do affect your relationships. Because if you're hiding your food eating, or you're hiding the fact that you went to the store on the way home and ate a carton of ice cream, or every time you stop by a fast food place, you buy 2 of everything, you're going to feel guilty, you're going to feel anxious, and you're not going to want people to see that. You're going to try to hide it, which is unhealthy. You know, when they're talking about people who struggle with alcohol, that's one of the questions they ask. Are you drinking alone? Listen, if you're hiding your food and you're eating alone, yeah, you've got a problem. So one of the things that we're going to deal with as we go through her book is to look at the mental side of things as well as the physical. So I don't know if you have this book or not, and I know I've already asked that question before, but if you haven't, you ought to get it. We're going to keep going through this and asking these questions. How do you feel? How do you feel? I know I've struggled. I know that I have fought food for a long time. And people say, oh, it's so easy. Oh, all you got to do is put the fork down. Man, if it was that easy, we would have all done it. It's not that easy. It's a battle. I'll tell you something else. If you're trying to eat beef and chicken and drink 3 protein shakes a day and you're just filling your body full of these kinds of things, I don't care how much you exercise, you're going to keep struggling. You're going to keep struggling. As soon as you even take the foot off the gas for a moment, you're going to be right back at it. So we have to change what we're eating. We have to change our mindset. Oh, I know there's some professional bodybuilders that do that, and there's some professional athletes that do that. But wait till you're in your 50s and you sit behind a desk all day. You try to eat 6 times a day and you fill your body full of protein, you're going to have some effects. You're going to have some pain. And so how do we deal with that? Well, I suggest to you that it's a whole food plant-based diet. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, and I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm saying from the things I've studied, it's the way to go. Because I've been where she is, and that is struggling over food, anxiety, stress. It's an addiction, and it's not good. And it will take your life. So don't do that. How do we get past that? Well, we're going to eat a whole food plant-based diet, and we're going to exercise, and we're going to make daily improvements to our life, and we're going to stay connected to a community. Folks, I know this will make a difference in your life. I'm glad you're here today. I hope you'll buy this book and support her. She's done a good job. And if I can help you in any way, you let me know. You can go over to my Facebook page and send me a private message. It's the same name, Denny's Plant-Based Journey, or you can leave it in the comments below. We're just getting started, but I'm looking forward to it. My name is Denny. This is my plant-based journey. Let's grow together, mentally, physically, emotionally, and hopefully spiritually. Thank you for being here today. Have a great week.